If we are mindful on something, and then we begin to be concentrated on it, and the concentration increase the quality of happiness. Suppose you have a good cup of tea, or suppose you are contemplating a beautiful sunrise, and suppose you are mindful and concentrated. When you are mindful, when you are concentrated, you are truly there, and you concentrate on your tea becomes something very real. And the time of tea drinking makes you so happy. Because you are not disturbed. Your mind is not in the past or in the future. Your mind is not in your projects. Your mind is focused entirely on the tea. That's concentration. Tea is the object of your concentration. That's why drinking tea in that moment can make you very happy. And the more you are concentrated, the happier you become. And that is why concentration is also a source of happiness. And when you contemplate the beautiful sunrise, you are not distracted by thinking about the past, the future. You are fully present. You are concentrated. And the more concentrated you become, the more the beauty of the beautiful sunrise is revealed to you. So concentration is a source of happiness. And we used to think of money as a source of happiness. We used to think of power as a source of happiness. But we forget that we have many true sources of happiness in us that we don't know how to use. Insight, understanding, insight. When you get insight, you can be very happy because insight always liberates you. If you are inhabited by fear, you cannot be happy. You cannot be joyful. If you are inhabited by worries or desire, craving, you are not peaceful. You cannot be happy. But when you get insight, fear is removed, craving is removed, you are free, and true happiness comes to you through joy. And that is why the practice of meditation, releasing mindfulness, concentration, and insight, is the practice that can bring joy and happiness. And that is the practice of love. The practice of releasing is the practice of love. The practice of mindfulness is the practice of love. True love. The word compassion does not reflect very well karuna. If we analyze, we see that prefix kom means together, and passion here means to suffer. To be compassionate is to suffer together with the other person. But karuna does not mean that you have to suffer. Karuna means the capacity of relieving the suffering. And maybe the opposite. Relieving the suffering in you, relieving the suffering in the other person. And you have to got that kind of capacity, the power to relieve compassion. If you don't know the practice of mindful breathing, if you don't know the practice of holding tenderly your pain and your sorrow, if you don't know how to look deeply into the nature of suffering, And then you cannot transform, you cannot bring a relief. And if you do, you don't have to suffer. And you don't have to suffer with him or with her. In fact, you and her, both of you are practicing in order to remove and transform the suffering. Suppose you are a physician, a doctor, and a doctor should have compassion. Hopefully. And when a patient comes and complaining of the pain, of the fear, and even if you are a good doctor, do you have to suffer with that person in order to be kind to him or to her? You don't have to suffer with him or her, because you know the way how to help him or her not to suffer. So if you are practicing love, true love, you don't have to suffer with him or with her. And you know how to help her, to help him to suffer less. So compassion is not really the word that can translate karuna. Karuna is the capacity of removing the suffering, transforming the suffering, bringing a relief to the suffering. And doing so, you don't have to suffer. In fact, you suffer less. And you make him or her suffer less. We have to distinguish between the willingness to love and the capacity to love. You might be motivated by the willingness to love. But the more you love, the more you make him or her suffer. So the willingness to love is not love yet. And many fathers love their sons and daughters. And they impose on their sons and daughters a lot of things, and they make their children suffer very much in the name of love. Because they are not capable of understanding their sons and their daughters. And unable to understand the suffering and the difficulties of your children, the more you love them, the more you destroy them. And that is why you have to ask yourself the question as whether you are really loving them. To love means to have the time to look deeply, to understand the suffering, the anguish, the difficulties. And when understanding is there, love will be true love. What you say, what you will do for him, for her, is true love. So love here does not mean the intention, the willingness to make happy, but the capacity. And that capacity of loving, you have to learn, you have to cultivate. Address yourself. Recognize the suffering in you. Recognize them. Embrace them. Transform them. And you are loving yourself. And based on that experience, you are going to succeed in helping another person to do the same. Recognizing the suffering, transform the suffering, and then bringing a feeling of joy and happiness. All these things are very concrete, not just talking. The fourth element of true love is upeksha. Sa. And this is the foundation of true love. In true love, there is no longer any discrimination. In true love, happiness is no longer an individual matter. You and him, you are the same person. His suffering is your own suffering. His happiness is your own happiness. Your joy is his joy. No longer any barrier, any frontier between the lover and the one who is loved. And true love has this kind of element. The abolishment of self. There is no longer any self. Lover and loved one are one. When you love yourself, the lover is you and yourself is you. And when you love him, you are him and he is you. And happiness is no longer an individual matter. Happiness is happiness for both, for everyone. And suffering also, suffering is no longer an individual matter. There's no more distinction between the lover and the one who is loved. And equanimity has been used to translate upeksha, but I would like to use the word inclusiveness. In true love, you don't exclude anyone. And if your love is true love, that will benefit everyone. Not only humans, but also animals, minerals, and vegetables. If that is really true love. To love one person is an opportunity for you to love everyone and every living species. And you are in the good direction. That is true love. But if you love someone and you get caught, and you get cut off, that's not true love. There's a song saying, I love you, I need you. I love you, I need you. So it seems that loving in that context is just to satisfy your need. The other person is to fulfill your need. You need the other person. Without the other person, you cannot survive. You say, you think that this is the language of love. Darling, I cannot survive without you. I need you. And that has to do with our original need, our original desire. Our original desire is to survive. As a tender baby just born, you are helpless. You are helpless. You have arms and feet, but you cannot move. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot do anything to yourself. Especially you have gone through moments of danger, the moment of your birth. They cut the umbilical cord. You come from a very comfortable place to a hard place. And you have expelled the liquid in your lungs in order to breathe in the first breath. So dangerous. You don't know what they are talking about. You don't know the language of man yet. You are just a few days old. But every time you hear the steps, the sound of steps coming close, you are happy because someone will bring you milk, will feed you, will bring you warmth and so on. You need someone. You cannot survive without someone. And that's the original need. The original need, the original love. You have arms and feet, but you cannot go anywhere. You cannot do anything for yourself. You are completely helpless. You need another person. That may be mommy or daddy. But you begin to distinguish. You can identify mommy by the smell. You can recognize the sound of her steps. And you are lying there hoping to hear that step, that sound of the step. That's your hope. And when you are close to your mommy, the smell of that person is so familiar. You fall in love with that smell. You fall in love with that sound. And you fall in love with that shape, that face. That's the first, the original love. And that love is born from your need. Your need. So when I say, I love you, I need you, that's very natural. And now you are looking for a young man to marry. You are looking for a young lady to marry. That is a continuation of that original love. Still the belief, that belief is still alive. Without someone else, I cannot survive. That's a childish, that's the infant feeling. It's a real feeling, and that feeling is still alive until this day. You're looking for a partner, but the child in you is looking for mommy. The child in you is looking for daddy. So when you are together as a couple, as a young couple, you feel very relaxed. You feel that I'm okay now because I have someone to love, to support me. But the infant in you say, well, I can relax. Mommy is there. Daddy is there. So that feeling of relaxation, of joy, is not exactly because of the presence of the other person, but because of the fact that you can relax. That brings you peace. Because later on, when your relationship with the other person becomes difficult, you cannot relax anymore. And that happiness is no longer there. So the essential is that you can relax, you can be peaceful, and not the presence of another person. And I think kissing, it's interesting to notice that in Asia, when people kiss each other, they use the nose more than the mouth, right? Using the nose, we can recognize the person. It's so pleasant. So when we were an infant, the smell of mommy is the wonderful and most wonderful kind of smell in the world, because I need her. So in Asia, when they kiss, they mostly use their nose in order to enjoy the smell of the other person. And that is the continuation of the original desire, the desire to have that person close to us, the desire to hear that steps coming closer and closer. And all day, all night, as an infant, we only hope to hear the sound of the steps and to be able to smell that smell. And I think that kissing by the mouth is a continuation of the sucking the breast. That is only a continuation. But Westerners don't use, I don't know, the nose as much as the Asian people. And there is a connection between fear and desire. In fact, fear and desire are just one thing. The original fear and the original desire have leave such a mark in our life. We know that the original fear is that no one will be there to take care of us. I am helpless. I have no means to take care of myself. I am vulnerable. I need someone, otherwise I will die. That is the feeling of the infant. And that continues to survive until today. We are fearful, you continue to worry. If today, as an adult, you continue to be fearful, to feel insecure, not safe, you continue to worry, that is the continuation of the original fear. And together with that fear, there is a desire to have someone that will take care of us, take care of me, someone that can assure my well-being, that can assure my survival. So today, as an adult, when we love someone, look deeply into that nature of love. We continue that kind of desire to have someone so that we can feel safe. And that is only the desire. But true love is not like that. True love can be generated from within. And with true love, you can feel complete in yourself. You don't need something outside. And true love is made with 4 elements that we just discussed about. True love is like the sun. It's like a lamp shining. The lamp has kerosene. The lamp has light. The lamp is sufficient by itself, so it offers light. And it offers light for everyone. It does not say that, no, I only want to offer light to this person. When you look at the electric bulb, you see that, well, the light is within, it's complete. And the electric bulb is shining upon us with equanimity, inclusiveness. It does not exclude anyone. And that is the 4th of the 4 conditions of elements of true love. Equanimity is that. No longer any discrimination. That is the love of the Buddha. Sex is not love. Sex is an instinct of preservation. Every living thing wants to continue into the future. Not only humans, but also animals. They want to continue into the future. And also the vegetable world, the plants. They produce seeds, in order to continue them into the future. So having the desire to self-reproduce is a very natural thing. And love is another thing. Love is not sex. Sex is a means to reproduce, to continue. That is something natural with man, with animals, and we should not mix them up. We are not against, we should not be against sex, but we should not mix it with love. True love doesn't have to do with sex. You can perfectly love without sex. So the teaching of the Buddha on true love is very clear. And it is possible for us to cultivate these 4 elements of true love with the practice of bringing joy and peace and relieving the suffering. The practice of releasing, the practice of being mindful, the practice of being concentrated, the practice of getting insight can handle the suffering inside, can transform the suffering inside, can bring joy and peace. That is love. You don't need another person in order to practice love. You practice love on yourself. And when you succeed, loving another person is something very natural, like the electric bulb or bulb. It will shine. It will make many, many people happy. And you are like a Buddha. You love everyone. You love every species. And your presence in the world is very important, because your presence is the presence of love. Good morning, dear Sangha. Today is the 11th of June in the year 2009, and we are in the Assembly of Stars Meditation Hall, Lower Hamlet, Plum Village, during our 21-day retreat. We still have another 15 days to go. 10. I'm not a very good mathematician. Anyway, the 4 Noble Truths is like mathematics. It's the exact science. Because we have seen that the 4th Noble Truth is just the opposite of the second one. On one side we have right view, on the other side we have wrong view. Right view brings well-being, and wrong views brings ill-being. So it's very exact. There cannot be any mistake in it. For the 4th Noble Truth, the path, we have right view, and for the second Noble Truth, we have a wrong view. Wrong view bring about ill-being. And right view bring about well-being. And we have examined right thinking. And we know that right thinking brings well-being. As soon as you produce a thought of reconciliation, compassion, understanding, non-discrimination, you feel the healing take place in your body and in your mind, and you feel better right away. So right thinking brings well-being. Right thinking can heal, can transform. And if we produce a thought in the line of wrong thinking, a thought that is full of hate, anger, despair, that destroy your health, that destroy your harmony, that make you suffer. So it brings ill-being right away. And it also brings ill-being to the world. We have discussed, we have learned about right speech, the kind of speech that express non-discrimination, forgiveness, understanding, support, love. And we know that when we are able to say something like that, or to write down something like that, we feel wonderful. It's so liberating, it's so relieving, it's so healing. So right speech brings healing, brings well-being. And anything that we say that has poisons, discrimination and hate, and the will to punish, will make us suffer and will make others suffer. It will cause ill-being, wrong speech. And we know that as a good practitioner, we can always produce right speech, say something that can heal, that can reconcile. A father can do that. A son can do that. A mother can do that. A daughter can do that. A politician can do that. A teacher can do that. Every one of us can do that. And today, we can do it today. We can send an email practicing right speech, and we can relieve the suffering inside and the suffering in that person right away. Why wait? We have discussed about right action. Right action, the kind of action that brings relief, that can support, that can protect, that can save the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals, that can help protect the environment, that can reverse the process of global warming. So right action is possible in the here and the now. And we can consume in mindfulness, because the consuming in mindfulness is right action. So right action brings well-being. And wrong action brings ill-being. And we have discussed right livelihood, the kind of livelihood that will not make us suffer, the kind of livelihood by which we can express our compassion, our ideal of compassion and understanding. So those of us who have a job, a kind of livelihood that can help us express our love, our care, our compassion, we should be happy about that. It's wonderful to have that kind of job, that kind of livelihood. Even if it brings less money, but it brings much happiness. You know you are on the right path, and that alone makes you happy. So, right livelihood brings well-being, and wrong livelihood brings ill-being. It destroys our planet. It brings toxins and poisons into the body and the mind of people who consume. And today we should go on with the right diligence. There are those of us who like to use the word right efforts. I prefer diligence. Making efforts can make you tired. But when you are diligent, you don't need to be tired. I don't want intensive practice. I want regular practice, diligent practice. There are those of us who practice very intensively for a few weeks, and then after that abandon the practice. But there are those of us who practice regularly, not intensive, but continuously. That will bring good result. That is why I prefer the word diligence. But if you continue to do it because you like it, why do you continue to do that? Because I like it. That is the good answer. Because I enjoy doing that. That applies to the practice. If you don't enjoy the practice, you have to make an effort. And make an effort, you get tired. And finally you abandon the practice. That is why we prefer the word diligence. To stick to it. You continue to it because you like it. It's not because you have to do it. Why do you practice sitting meditation? The best answer is because I like it. Why do you practice walking meditation? Because I like it. Why do you eat vegetarian? Because I like it. That's the best answer. Because you like it, that is why you continue to do it. And that is true diligence, right diligence. And we know that right diligence brings well-being. The practice of mindful walking, the practice of mindful breathing, smiling, bring well-being, bring peace, bring happiness. And the Buddha, after enlightenment, continues to practice. So practicing is not to become a Buddha. The Buddha is already a Buddha. Why does he have to practice? Because he likes it. He likes breathing like that, he likes walking like that, he likes sitting like that, he likes eating like that, because it brings him well-being. So when you ask the Buddha, dear Buddha, why do you continue to practice sitting meditation, walking meditation? Because you are already a Buddha. because I like it. Not because I want to become a Buddha. Right? So that is the best answer, I think, because I like it. But there are those of us who do not practice right diligence. They are very diligent, but their diligence is wrong diligence. And wrong diligence can bring ill being. They are caught in their work. They become workaholic. They don't have the time to take care of themselves. They don't have the time to take care of their beloved ones. They are sucked into the work. They are caught into the work. They cannot leave their computer. When the young boy come and ask them to go and play with him in the backyard, he said no, because he's stick to a computer. He doesn't have the time for himself or his little boy. He's caught. He's always reading the one street journal. During breakfast time, instead of looking and smiling at his children and son and enjoy breakfast together, he hold one street journal and hide himself from his family. He's totally caught and sucked into his work. He's very diligent. He wants success as a businessman. He always think of the values of his stocks, ups and downs, and he go ups and down with his stocks. He's very diligent, right? But that's not right diligence. He's working so hard. He's making a lot of effort, yes. He's very diligent in his work, yes. But there is no happiness. There is a businessman, very talented, called Frederick. He's very successful in his business. And he's very proud of his work. And his wife, Claudia, was very supportive. And she was very proud of being the wife of the boss of the company. She organized receptions and so on. She was very proud. She supported him. And they spend night talking about difficulties and hopes. And they think of the success of the business is their happiness. But finally he was sucked into his work. He did not have the time for himself to breathe, to relax, to be with his family. And when their son, Philip, went to the hospital for a surgery, he could not even have time to go to the hospital and to visit. And Claudia had to spend the whole night alone in the hospital. And when Claudia had to go for a surgery, he did not have the time to go to the hospital either. He was totally caught in his work, his willingness, his desire to succeed. He devoted all his time and energy hoping to develop, to grow more in his enterprise. And there was a night when Claudia was crying, and she complained to him that she suffered. He does not have time. He did not have time for himself. He did not have time for her, for the two children. And he said that they have to wait. Nobody can replace him now, but hopefully in the near future someone will replace him, and then he would have time more to enjoy being with his wife and children. His wife Claudia has to seek relief by going back to school to get another PhD degree, to engage in social humanitarian work, and to forget her loneliness. At the age of 50, Frederick got into a car accident and died. At the age of 50 only. And the company replaced him in just 3 days. In 3 days they got another person to replace him. Before that he said no one can replace him. So Claudia came to one of our retreat here in Plum Village. And she told a story, a true story. And there are many Fredericks that are still alive. And there are many Claudia that are still alive, and they find themselves in the very same situation. We want more and more and more and more success and power. We always run ahead. We do not have the capacity of living our life in the here and the now. And that is not true diligence. That is wrong diligence. And true diligence in the Buddhist teaching should be understood in that light.